all right. Party people in the place to be, vandals, and whatever else might be lurking out there in the darkness. Thank you so much for joining us on this very auspicious occasion. This is our 13th episode, which is going live on Friday the 13th of October 2000 or August 2021, October. That would be cool if it was October, but it's totally not. I'm a couple months ahead for some reason. And Goose's mom's already here. Hello, Mrs. Goose.
Hey, Mom.
Um, and we are coming at you with just a force of nature of books. We are going full on fantasy. And Joey, what do we got for the people tonight, man? And you got a special announcement yourself.
Yep. Tonight we're going to be covering Head Lopper, God Puncher, Clan Killers, The Realm, and Juakomo. All fantasy books. And at the end of the show, I'll be doing a giveaway for some James Stokoe books. I'll be giving away the first 2 issues of Orphan. I have the issue of Heroes Reborn from Marvel. He did the whole story on that issue. He illustrated that one with Jason Aaron was writing that, and he does a small part in the Superman Red and Blue #3. He does the last story in that one. I'll be throwing that in with the 3 other books.
Oh, and what a giveaway it is, Mrs. Goose's mom, ma'am, because James Stokoe is, I mean, like, he really should be up there with, like, one of Canada's, like, golden gods. He should be seen as, like, Wayne Gretzky and the rest of their cultural icons, because he is just incredible. And Orphan and the Five Beasts is one of the funnest books you could possibly be reading at the moment. Your son can tell you all about it, the Thunder Thighs, man. That's all you got to do.
The molten monster, man. I love him. Oh yeah, dude. I'm stoked to be talking about some fantasy books tonight, especially this bad motherfucker right here. Shout out to Lane Lloyd. Yeah, dude, we've got some badass books to talk about this evening. Let's I don't know, let's hit that check-in. What have you guys been reading?
Oh, no, you go first then, since you brought it up, Mr. Overzealous. You go ahead and go first.
I'm sorry. This week for me has been, besides our what we read for the show, has been a little light. But I went through and I reread the Flintstones from DC because
nice.
Right, Steve Pugh and Mark Russell, you can't beat it. They're doing that Second Son joint from Ahoy Comics, which has been super fucking killer. I reread Mr. Miracle because this was a downer week for me, but not so much anymore because I got the job. And then also I got this in, which I'm super stoked about. It was the Jump issue 2. You can see I got the badass Back to the Future cover. But the thing that I really enjoyed the most was one of the other things that they sent with it was, oh shit, it's stuck. Hold on. It is the Jump poster, but it's done in the Mike Mignola style of Hellboy, which I absolutely love and appreciate.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, they did a great job too. They nailed the logo. That logo was sick.
Dude, no, it's yeah.
Look just like the Hellboy logo. Yeah, dude, that is awesome. They nailed the whole look perfectly.
It also came with these sick fucking most of the books that I get from Ryland Grant come with these sick cards. This one, it's the Toys G Hype, which if you look on the back, it's got Hero and the robot from Rocky IV, and it kind of gives a little thing. And then you've got the SNES, the Jump Entertainment System. No, it's awesome. And then a Article 13 David Kolbrenner card, which all of them are super dope. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, we've all talked about it, and we're going to have Ryland Grant on, 2 weeks from now to talk about his new book coming out. And I'm really excited about that. But I've read the books that I did read that weren't the ones that we're not talking about tonight were real awesome. The Jump has been great. I backed it, and you should back all of Ryland Grant's books because he's awesome, and you trust me as an influencer. But yeah, man, it was a super sick week. What have y'all been reading?
Indeed. Joey, take it over.
I didn't get much reading because I didn't read a single one of the fucking books we read for the show this week, so I did a lot of catching up. but I did get a few issues in. I read Lucky Devil, Cullen Bunn book for Dark Horse, and man, Dark Horse this year has been fucking releasing some bangers, man. Like really good books. Fran Galin is the artist on this, and it's a beautiful book, man. Super well illustrated. The story is about a down on his luck, kind of timid, shy, kind of loser guy who never stands up for himself, and he gets attached to this demon who kind of does all this crazy shit and kills people and hurts people, and then he goes and finds a voodoo doctor to try to get the demon out, and in the end, come to find out he inherits the demon's powers without being possessed by the demon, and that's how the story takes off from there, which should be kind of it. The first issue was pretty good, man. I liked it. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, that sounds fun. I haven't even heard of that Bunn book, but that's the thing about Bunn. He puts out so much, like so much of them just slip by. But I'm glad you covered.
He puts out 6-7 issues a month of different titles, right? So, and I think he's up to what 8 now, running titles right now.
Do y'all know how he's able to do that, right? He's a nice guy and he minds his own fucking business, and we love Cullen Bunn.
That, and he had clones of himself. There's like 7 of them in a house somewhere.
Multiple.
The next one is Scotty Young's "I'd Love You More If the Title Was Shorter," which it was pretty good. It was solid. The illustrator is Jorge Corona. Really nice. Yeah. Like the art is super nice in it. Like the tone is good. Like the art fits the tone. It's about an artist that goes in recluse, rents a house to be in solitude to try to regain her inspiration and genius. She's an artist, and the story just started, so it's like she had like this huge show like years ago, and now she's trying to recapture that magic. So she goes into this house, which right now we don't know if it's haunted. You assume it's a ghost. You're not sure. Maybe she's going crazy, mad, kind of like The Shining, where she's descending into madness and thinks it's a ghost, but she's just seeing things. I don't know. We don't know. But it's pretty good. It has potential for sure. And finally, I read Maria Lovett's Porcelain.
Nice.
Yeah, this was pretty good. I really liked the first issue. It was awesome. It's kind of like a weird psychedelic take on Alice in Wonderland. I found it's pretty cool.
Toys, right?
Yeah, like well, there's like this weird house, and then like it sucks her in, which is kind of like Alice falling down the rabbit hole. And then when she gets there, she's surrounded by like all these people where they want her to sit down and eat. It's kind of like the tea party for the Mad Hatter. It kind of has that vibe to it. And then the queen or the leader or whatever you want to call it shows up, so it's kind of like the Queen of Hearts. Anyway, that's the vibe I got from it. I got total Alice in Wonderland vibes from it, and it's cool. The illustration work is great. Like, she does a great job, and yeah, man, it's I like those weird, bizarre books, and this definitely fits the bill.
Yeah, Maria's a goddess. I love all of her work. I'm also really excited for that Scotty and Jorge book, man. Middle West was so good. It's good to see them team back up. So, like, I'm down to read that anytime.
Yeah, so all 3 books were really, like, I only got to read those 3 books aside from what we're covering tonight, and they were all really good. Like, I recommend each one of those to anyone.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we got some news from the show. Buddy Matt is back. Fulci will be returning. He can't be here tonight because his Yankee pig dog bosses made him work. But he will have Monday and Tuesday off, and we will be recording a Buzz Bite with him one of those days, which should be fun. But it'll be rather spontaneous. So
it kind of sucks he's not here tonight because, you know, Friday the 13th. It's our 13th episode. The stars are just aligned. He should have been here, unless maybe he's going to show up later as a surprise. I don't know. Maybe he'll be like, fuck work, and he'll quit and just come on the show and do a surprise guest appearance at the end. I don't know. We'll see.
As a masked killer, and be like, "That's right, girl. That's how Matt rolls,
Well,
girl.
I just want y'all to know.
That's love, girl.
That's
You
love, girl."
want to talk about love? My dad mentioned in the comments that he is missing out on a sick fucking Friday the 13th marathon to watch us. So, yeah, thanks. Thank you, Dad and Mom, for coming in. Instead of missing out on Jason or Friday the 13th, number 7, Jason Lives, we'll be done in time for you to see Jason Takes Manhattan. And so you're good. You're good.
Well, what he's got to do is get the TV on with the tablet and just, listen to it on mute so he could still see and know what's going on. Because obviously you probably watched it a million times, so you could probably do the dialogue by heart. So you don't really need to hear it. You can just follow along just by watching.
Yeah.
He checked me out of school. He checked me out of school in like the 3rd grade to go see Jason X. And so we got a love for, he's got him on DVD. He's watching him if it's on TV regardless.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Melissa. Also, the reason why I was really excited about it being October, even though it's not October, is we have a big announcement. I'm not going to make it right now, but I am going to give a hint. God Amongst Men, one of the greatest working persons in horror comics, is going to join us sometime in early October. We're going to have him on the show. He's going to talk to us about some new books, and it's going to be incredible. So keep your ears open about that. But my check-in, like Joe's, is going to be rather small. I mostly just got the PDFs in for my LRNZ books that I backed on Kickstarter from Neurobellum projects. I got Monolith and Golem, which are some more Euro books, which we love. And we'll probably cover on here because Monolith and Golem both look extraordinary, especially Golem. So we're going to cover that. And then last night I watched this movie. It's an Amazon Prime exclusive. It's called Jolt, and it stars one of my biggest wink wishes ever, one Miss Kate Beckinsale. And it's kind of this superhero movie. She's like got this anger thing where it creates too much of the chemical in her brain. So she's a little faster and stronger than she's supposed to be. And she has this rig made up so she can shock herself so she can calm herself down. But basically she falls in love with this guy, he gets killed, and she goes out for revenge. So it's kind of like Crank, but reversed with a hot chick. And it was one of the most fun films I've seen in a long time. If you like flicks like Guns Akimbo, I really recommend this one. It's in that same kind of almost trash film category, but at the same time, it also mimics a blockbuster film. So yeah, if you got Amazon Prime, definitely check out Jolt, man. Kate Beckinsale be rocking the shit in that. She'd be so cool. I loved her since Cold Comfort Farm. So yeah.
I started watching with Pat. We started watching The Servant, the M. Shyamalan produced show on Apple TV.
Nice.
Man, it's pretty. I liked it. It's pretty good. I think we have the season finale left of the first season, and then we'll have the first season done. And it was pretty solid, man. Like, if you enjoy like suspense thriller and you enjoy cooking, holy shit, this is the show for you, man. There's a whole lot of cooking going on this show. It's a culinary.
Oh, go ahead.
Spooky, weird delight. So yeah, man. If you like stuff that's weird and spooky and food, watch this show. It's awesome.
I finally broke down and started watching the the Netflix Daredevil series. I'm almost to the season finale of season 1, and I'm kind of kicking myself in the ass for not starting this shit sooner. Charlie Cox plays a kick-ass Daredevil. I love the street-level heroes in Marvel, and it's definitely been fucking solid, man. Like, I get the praise that everybody gives it, and especially because of old Jessica Hamby from True Blood playing Karen Page. Super hot. I'm always down for that. So, like, yeah, she came on the scene, and she was like, "I'm Karen Page," and I was like, "You're my love interest, too." And so... yeah, no, some kick-ass shows. I'm gonna have to check. Joe, what's the one you said? The Servant is the one that you were watching?
Servant. It's on Apple TV because Pat got herself an iPad and iPhone, so we have a year free of. Anytime you get an Apple device, they give you a year of Apple TV for free. And I think she's had the phone for like 4 or 5 months. We haven't watched anything. I was like, fuck, we gotta, before we've got a whole year free and we haven't watched a single fucking thing. I was like, we got to get on that, man. So I went through and watched a bunch of the trailers, a bunch of the previews, and I saw that one. And I was like, yeah, this is definitely up our alley. So we watched it, and we've enjoyed it a lot so far.
Goose's folks already been listening to what you were saying, and we're on top of that, Joey. They got the movies on mute.
Yeah, I saw that
with
on
captions.
mute. Yeah, with captions. Yeah.
So they're getting all those great Voorhees kills while listening to our wonderful commentary of these books, which we're going to get into right now. Goosey, get us started with Headlopper.
Oh man, this Headlopper is written, drawn, and lettered by Andrew Mclean, with the colors done by Mike Spicer, who's a favorite of mine. He does a lot of work with Daniel Wharton Johnson, and I love his colors, man, on pretty much everything he does. And this is not an exception. This was my first time reading Headlopper, and it is following Norgal and the head of Agatha Blue Witch. And Norgal's most commonly known as Headlopper. And if you can't guess by the title, he lops off some fucking heads. And man, it is an action-packed fantasy epic that I'm really I'm ready to dig into some more of it. Honestly, I got through the first 6-7 issues of it, and it is an absolute fucking pleasure. It's a fun read, man. It's fast paced. The characters themselves, to me, are just ridiculous. You've got what I remember most is there's this kid at the very beginning who's like, I want to be your apprentice, I want to follow you, and this is before we see Agatha Blue Witch. And then he's walking up the mountain with a bag over his shoulder, and I had to actually go back and read it before I flipped the page. But it was like, I want to be just like you when I grow up. I'm gonna grow a beard and I'm gonna swing swords.
You thought it was him being an asshole, right? I thought so at first too. Yeah.
I thought it was him. I thought he had kidnapped that kid, but then he pulls Agatha Blue Witch's head out and smashes her on a fucking rock and then kicks her fucking football style. And that was
he does that a few times through the book.
And that was the thing, I think you go the first maybe 10 pages without really getting a good dialogue, which is not a hindrance, because I think it's kind of like jazz, where it's the notes you don't play, but those pages that you get in books that are silent, it can be one of two ways, and a lot of the times people really, really kind of suck at doing those scenes with no dialogue. And so I really thought it was interesting to start the book off that way, which is a solid kick in the fucking teeth. It is action from the jump. He is on a ship, and it's super funny too, because he's fucking up this monster, and then he goes to jump and do this thing, and he gets caught on the mast of a ship and loses his sword. And so the first words are from a guy who picks up his sword and goes to try and fight the monster, and he's like, throw me the sword, and the guy's like, no, I'll kill this fucking sea beast. And then as he's getting eaten up, Headlopper's like, throw me the sword, and throws it back, and then he goes into action. And man, that's a really good word to describe everything about this book, is it is action, action, action. It's a really, really fun read. It is hilarious. And I wish we would have done this on one of our comedy episodes, because as much of action-packed and fantasy as it is, I laughed a whole lot, which I did not expect from this book. We've got some pretty good books this week, but I was not expecting Headlopper to be the type of comedy that it is. And it's kind of dry and sort of that British humor that you would get from Monty Python, but it is fucking hilarious, man. I was cracking up every time Agatha Blue Witch comes out, when he sticks her head in the barrel and he's like, you don't have to eat. Just the interactions between them two and the story itself, man. It is it's set in a fantasy land, and it is following Headlopper, aka Norgal, on his trip through this fantasy land with witch's head strapped to his back. And man, it is just fucking hilarious. I absolutely enjoyed it. I can't believe I hadn't read it up until this point, and I'm glad we covered it this week. What did you guys think about it?
I guess sprawling would be a good way to describe it, because like this book just keeps going too. You think that like it's gonna just kind of catch on one trick and follow, but like no, like you get introduced to all these different cast of characters. You got the Duke and his dad on the island who's trying to play a certain game with Nargal. You got the Queen and the little kid King, which I thought was a great little addition. In a way, it kind of reminds me of one of my favorite comic books ever, Usagi Yojimbo, because at the same time it is ultimately a very brutal, very action packed and bloody comic, but at the same time it's something that you could probably let a kid read without having to worry about a single thing, because a lot of the violence is on the cartoonish side because of Andrew's art style. He's very cartoonistic. He draws that European clean line art style. So it's really cute looking. But on top of that, he just kind of keeps it clean in a way that just keeps the book fun. It never gets, there are some emotional beats to it, there are some dark beats to it, but ultimately it is just a fun time on paper. And I utterly adore Andrew Mclean's work. The first book of his I read was his book before this one. It was called Apocalyptic Girl. He did for Dark Horse. Really, really solid little sci-fi graphic novel. So when I saw he was doing more and I saw he was going to do some fantasy stuff, I was like, okay, that's cool. But yeah, no, like this thing is, he must have had this planned out since he was a kid or something, because this there's a lot to this book. And there's a second book. Like each of the trades for this thing is like 300 pages long. So I mean, like there is a lot to this sucker, and it is just enjoyable the entire time. So yeah,
Well,
you're gonna have a lot to enjoy going forward, Goosey.
one of the things that I really enjoyed about it was you were talking about that kind of European clean art style, which I get from some of the books that me and you have talked about and you've put me onto. But one of the big things that I wrote down when I was reading it is how much it reminded me of Adventure Time. And like
Never watched it, so I can't really comment. But I'll
that
take your word
that's
for it.
fair.
The art style is similar, though. They have the kind of rounded-looking swords, and I will say that it
Yes.
looks similar. Yes, it does, because like he has
What
that
up, Kudo?
cartoonish style.
And
What's
well,
up, Manny? Manny's up in the house. I always love when our El Crudo, awesome creator buddies, come and visit us.
well, and that was the thing. It's got a lot of the same beats that Adventure Time has, where, like you said, you could give it to a kid and have the kid read it, no problem. And it has those darker or those heartfelt beats that would kind of you go over a kid's head and wouldn't fuck with them too much. And that's really how Adventure Time is. And so I drew a lot of parallels between those because Adventure Time is supposed to be this cartoonish kids show, but then it gets into a lot of like dark things as it goes forward, and it's kind of the same sprawling fantasy epic. And so that's one of the things that I really enjoyed about this, that I picked up on from the beginning, was that it was very similar in tone and art style to Adventure Time. And I will say, Johnny, if you have not watched it, I implore you to check it out. The first season will be a little bit slow as far as the story goes, but once the second season and the Fire Kingdom and shit comes in, man, I'm telling you, it turns into a sprawling post-apocalyptic epic, man, and it's really good.
We talking Headlopper right now. God Puncher's going to be a little later on the show, Manny. But yeah, Lane is getting some mad love tonight. You best believe that. He's our boy. So yeah, boy. Joey, how do you feel about Headlopper, man?
It didn't land with me right off the bat. I was reading it and I was like, okay, it was okay. And then when it first started to is after he kills the sea beast and he goes to collect his fee from the priests and stuff, and he steals the thing, and that's when I started. Okay, maybe then when they introduce the kid, the Child King, and what's the right hand of the king or whatever. He's the one who's the
undercover bad guy.
Yeah. When they introduce him when he's older and stuff, and that's when the story kicks in, and then I was really into it after that. And the one part of this book that I loved was the end, the epilogue. The coloring on the epilogue was just, it blew my mind. So beautiful, so beautiful. I'd love to see Andrew Mclean do a full fucking book with the colorists, which was Lynn Vessel and Joseph Bergen III. Oh my God. His art style with their coloring just blew my mind. It's like, if you're not into this or anything, just at least go to the end and read that epilogue story, because the art on it with the coloring, oh my god, it's so goddamn good. I can't. It leaves me almost speechless. It's so good. It's psychedelic. It's really good. And Andrew Mclean, his style kind of made me think a little bit of like a Mike Mignola, but slightly more cartoony, or Dean Armstrong's work on Black Hammer, kind of like that too, a little bit. It gave me that feel, but a little, like you said, like that clean line art, a little more simple, a little more cartoony, and as he got going, I kind of started digging it more and really got into it.
Well, I did not make it to the epilogue. I will have to get to it soon, just from the way.
Man, you got to read that.
I got 6-7 issues in before we shot tonight. I've had a busy week, but with that being said, there was when he gets gobbled up by the monster, and then like you just see the sword come through and like rip the fucking head off. Like, oh man, look, anytime you're ripping some fucking heads off, Goose is down for it, man. There's swords, there's fucking action. This was everything that you would want in a fantasy book.
I agree. The opening with the sea serpent was a hell of a opener, man. And the way that the blade just kind of pops out and it almost it looks like
a can opener
slashed or something. Yeah, dude, it was really, really well done. Like, his art is just fun. Like Manny says here, his art is actually narrative driven itself. I don't even think he actually needs to put words in a lot of his work. He does anyways, but he really could probably do silent comics no problem, because it's just so expressive and it just moves so freely that I think Andrew Mclean is a really underrated talent, like a lot of the cartoonist guys that are running around right now are. And I hope this helps build him up a little, because he actually was pretty buzzing and pretty popping when Lopper came out. So I just like to think that he's working away somewhere on his next big, cool adventure.
Go ahead.
If they're as big as this book, then it'll take them some time. You know, like it was 2 volumes of like 200, almost 300 pages. That's a lot of work. Like 250-page volumes. You don't do that overnight. So, like you said, he's probably working on something big.
Well, I was talking about when I first started how it's hard. A lot of creators struggle that I've seen struggle with those silent scenes, because it's a lot easier to just do the narrative bubbles and say this is what's going on. But in those, like, he really opens it up, and before there's even any dialogue, like, you get what is going on, you get the type of story that it's going to be, and like I really think he has mastered those. Like I was saying with jazz, it's not the beats you hit or it's the notes you don't play or whatever, but it's him literally just doing his art and telling the story without any distractions. And I'm not saying that narrative, bubbles or anything like that are distractive, but when you see his art and it jumps you into the story, man, it just sucks you right in. I know Joe said it took him maybe an issue or two to really get into it, but I kind of felt the opposite. As soon as it jumped in, it was such an easy access point. Although you're kind of dropped into the middle of the story, I say the middle of the story, you kind of dropped into the middle of the action on those first scenes. It really was just really great to me that you knew what was going on before there was even any words spoken. And like I said, I think the first words from the book were, "Throw me the sword." And
so, Manny's telling us, 6 pages a week is pretty much the most you can ask for any artist, and that's like, even that, I think that would be pushing them, type of thing, unless you're Schlepzig, which he does that in a night because he waits till the last minute to do his comics, for what he told me and Joe. But our buddy Sam is, he crazy like that. But most other people, 6 pages in a week, that's a lot. You know what I mean? You got to realize the amount of detail that even in some of the comic books you'll look at and be like, oh, that looks kind of crappy, though. It's not all photorealistically drawn like some Marvel book. Like, but like, it still takes the guy a long time to draw that. You know what I mean? To render it that good and make sure it fits with the rest of his line art. Because dude, sometimes you have to redraw something because it doesn't fit the rest of the look of the book. You drew the beard a little weird or something. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that I think that's something we used to see a lot of, where it would be, a line artist and then an inker on a book. But now, like, a lot of the guys that I've seen are doing the line art as well as the inking. And so I couldn't imagine, I mean, I imagine 3 pages from something like Epic would take a few days. Like, I cannot, like, Liam Sharp's work, he's got really super detailed work, and he was putting out monthly books as well, and I don't know how he was doing all that in 3-4 weeks to get it into production. So yeah, no, 6 pages a week that sounds fucking tough. Like, I can't draw shit.
Like me doing a full page illustration with backgrounds, we're talking like 3 days, dude. We're talking a lot of work for me, you know what I mean? But I'm not like a artist, I'm just a hobbyist and stuff. But yeah, if I'm doing like a full piece with, like, explosions or whatnot and guns going off and stuff, yeah, it's gonna take me a long time to do all that. And
well, dude, just imagine how long it takes Rob Liefeld to draw feet. I'm sorry. I gotta take a cheap shot.
Manny's got a point here. A lot of the guys that are coming out now are inkists, and they have just adopted becoming pencilers themselves too. Because at the end of the day, inkers are what makes most pencilers' art look as good as it does in more traditional comic books. So.
Well, have colorists really taken the role of inkers? Because, like I said, I don't see a lot. Like, you look back to some of the older books that I read, like 80s and 90s. You would see a penciler and then an inker, but nowadays you just see artists and then colorists. So, are colorists taking that role of inker nowadays, or is it just artists doing?
No, I think inkers are just being seen to have the talent that they always have, because they come. A lot of people always thought, because the old Kevin Smith joke, they're just tracers. But then you started hearing about, talented people like Paul Pope, Jeff Lemire, Matt Kent. These guys who style they're basically inkists, but they didn't have anybody to pencil for them, so they just did the whole thing themselves. And their art style has actually become more prevalent, at least in indie circles, than that traditional, Steve Ditko line art than ink type of art. You know what I mean?
Like, one book you could really use as an example to see how much an inker can influence the art of a book is a Frankenstein Agents of Shade, the Agents of whatever Frankenstein book from DC that Jeff Lemire worked on.
Yeah.
Alberto Ponticelli, I think is his name. Anyway, he had several different inkers on that book, and from book to book, depending on the inker, the style of the art changed so much from his inker. It's insane. It's insane how much the art style changed just from changing his inker. And that just goes to show you how much an inker can add. Like, it's not just tracing, like you said. They actually add quite a bit to the artist. Or if you get a bad inker, man, someone who doesn't vibe with your style, it could make it look worse. It's a team effort for sure. There's no way around it.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. That's what I was saying. Like, I remember when I would read comics as a younger guy, and I see, yeah, my mom writes a poem in longer than 6 days, 7 days. But no, that's the thing. When I was growing up,
I have some painter friends. It takes them maybe a month to do a portrait perfectly, to their standards, and depending on what style they do. So yeah, depending on your art form, I mean, 6 pages a week is, that seems pretty extreme in my opinion.
I think we've covered some really good. I guess illustrators is the best way to put them. People who are drawing as well as doing the story, which we'll get into a little bit more later when I jump into God Puncher. But like, that is something that is absolutely incredible to me, because not only are they doing, when I write stories and stuff, I have a picture in my head, but I really kind of I try and let the artist do as much as they want with it. I try and give minimal direction and stuff. But I think if you have that ability to write as well as draw, like, you can put your own touches on it. And I think that's what helps him with his narrative driven art, is that he has the story in his head and he knows where it's going. And it turns out beautifully, man. And I love it.
Yeah, he's an auteur, is how in films that's what you would call it. So I guess in comics we might as well kind of start calling these guys auteur creators. I mean, because that's basically what they are. You know, people like him,
Fucking
people like
polymaths, bro.
Farampel,
Or someone
um,
that does everything is often referred to as a cartoonist.
a cartoonist. Yeah,
Carlos
exactly.
Yeah,
Schultz, baby.
That's European style. A lot of people don't know that terminology outside of
yeah.
certain circles. But yeah, exactly.
One thing about the book, though, as I was going through it, I was like, man, when I was going through the pinups, I was like, fuck, like this would definitely be in James Stokoe's wheelhouse. And then one of the last pinups is James Stokoe does a fucking huge pinup. I was like, yeah, it was fucking nice, man.
Oh yeah, they're all those guys are all homies together, man.
Oh yeah,
Stoko,
like the
Paul,
pinups,
Graham, all them
the
guys are
pinups,
all together.
Raphael Grandpa. There's all kinds, man. The pinups are beautiful at the end of this too. It's
Rich
just great.
Tomasio, yeah, all
Bro,
the great
those
cartoonists, all buddies together, which is good.
grand.
Mignola did one.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, yeah. Mignola
But
does
see,
a pinup.
I don't. I see every now and then I see somebody talk about Grandpa and his work, but dude, every time some of his art comes across, like on my Twitter feed or on my Tumblr feed, like I instantly know that's a Grandpa fucking art, and like he's got a style that's similar to Frank Quietly's, that like you just see it and you
Frank
pick up on it.
Frank quietly meets Paul Pope. Dude,
Yeah,
if you wanna fall in love with Raphael Grandpa, get Mesmo Delivery. It's 60 something page graphic novel about an Elvis impersonator and a washed up boxer trying to drive a truck through the Midwest, and anything bad that happens does happen. And man, is it just gory and gruesome, but it's an award-winning graphic novel where a girl pees her pants, and I'm just like,
oh,
you don't get that in any other medium, but in comics, like that wins awards. That's why I love comics. And yeah, Raphael Grandpa, like out of Brazil, like oh my god, his art is just beautiful. That Frank Miller Batman book he did a couple years ago
that is
was
what
just
that is.
shining too.
I think about that on like a weekly basis, just the art from it, because I'm not going to say Frank Miller's fallen off, and I could turn around and burn my copies of Superman Year One. That's not. I'm not trying to be a dick. However, the Raphael Grandpa work with Frank Miller was the highlight of that series. What was that? The Golden Child?
The
Was
Golden
it?
Child,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Dark
dude.
Knight
Yeah.
4, Dark Knight 4, Golden Child.
So good, so good. And that's what I was saying. Like his art, we'll talk about him some more when we do an artist episode. Let's get on to that next book.
Yeah, we'll cover Mesmo Delivery sometime in the near future because that's one that Goose needs to read. But yeah, zipping right along, we are going to be covering an Aftershock book, which we're going to be doing a spotlight on them in the near future. So expect a lot more Aftershock. We're going to be picking our books and reading that, but it's going to be a big one, like our AWA episode. But we're planning for it ahead of time so we don't cram all 9 books in 1 week like we did last time. But yeah, this is Clan Killers, written by our buddy Sean Lewis, who's always been so very gracious to all of us online. It is drawn by Antonio Fuzio. It is colored by Stefan Simeon, and it is let's see, lettered by Dave Sharp. What?
Postman's comment about Liefeld and Mignola. That's a good one. Put it up on the screen. It's fucking funny.
Oh no!
I love that. That's good, man. Oh shit. Sorry about that. Sorry for cutting you off.
No, it's awesome.
You needed to post that.
Nah, it's all good. Yeah, I don't see any problems with Mike Mignola's art, though. I'm just gonna say that right now. But
No, but it is true though. He has the sagging shoulders in a lot of his. Yeah, yeah, that was a good one.
No hate from Magnolia
Oh
on my
shit.
end.
But yeah, this is Clan Killers by Sean Lewis and Antonio Fuzio. And I'm not gonna lie, I am Irish American, so I was raised with a lot of Celtic mythology, which this book is absolutely steeped in. Like you get the Doulahan, you get the Banshees, you get Balar, you get like all the greats. But this one is a total youth and revolt book. This is the journey of Finola and Killam as they decide that Finola's dad who is just this really, really grotesque, obsessed king who is just evil, has overstayed his welcome in this world and he needs to go. So Finola is going to kill all four clans of Ireland and take the damn crown and kill the demon Baelor. And man, she just goes about it the most gangster way possible. My personal favorite is in the second issue where like they kind of just mug the Doulahan, which is hilarious because the Doulahan is the Irish Grim Reaper. Rides around with no head, collecting souls. She jumps out of the bushes and just takes his head and is like, okay, like I could kill you or we could be friends. What's up? And like, yeah, the Doulahan's just like, okay, cool. You know, your dad's an asshole anyways. Like you didn't even have to ask that hard. You know what I mean? We cool. So she builds this little army and it's just a thrill ride, and I love the art. It really reminds me of it's colored a little bit too poppy, but the actual art itself really reminds me of a lot of the old illustrations you will see, old engravings from Celtic books of the monsters. So I really, really appreciated that from Fuzo. But what really steals the show in this book is the character Killam. He is this boy who has been raised in this monastery, and they speak of things that probably happen to him that aren't the nicest things that could happen to boys that are raised in a Catholic monastery. But he has such a wonderful, warped sense of humor about it and everybody else. And when he finally gets the bishop or the priest that was in charge of his church and what him and the other orphans do, oh my God, it's just such a total blast. But yeah, this book is total just dark fantasy fun. I mean, it's gore infused. It's got a very horror feel to it, and if I think it would make a really good film from like A24 Studios or something like that. I think it would be a pretty badass kind of like fantasy horror thing if somebody got a hold of it right and got the right little actress to play Finola, because that would be the you'd have to get somebody that was just as badass as the character actually is, because she does not have any fucks to give. This little girl is out to kick asses and nothing's gonna stop her. Goose, you liked this book almost as much as I did. Like, what do you got to say about the Clan Killers?
Oh, dude, no. I've read Coyotes from Sean Lewis and I've read Thumbs from Sean Lewis, but this is my first time reading Clan Killers as well, and I was really excited because as soon as you said Clan Killers, I was like, that's the Sean Lewis book. Fuck yeah. I absolutely adored it. I'd like to point out, like you said, a lot of the art is like a lot of like what you would see like on an old Irish like tapestry. And Mom, come over to the house. I've got fuck tons of comics for you to borrow that I think you would love, especially Cullen Bunn.
You're
But
welcome, Manny, and that's all I do, man. It's all about positivity on the buzz, man. So, you can hop on here anytime you want. Just let me know when you got a free night. You're welcome to be part
yeah,
of the panel, brother.
yeah. But no, man, like I said, the art reminds me of a lot of what you would see in like Irish like tapestry work. You called him Killiam. Is it Killiam or is it Cillian? Because I'm not speaking Gaelic on the thing, but I read it as Cillian. That was one of my favorite fucking characters. Like you said, he has this dry wit, and he's kind of seen. He reminds me of the stereotypical like court jester style character. What is the theater dell'arte? What do they call him? The clown, basically from that. He has that archetype, and his just dry wit, like kind of we talked about, or I said earlier, like the kind of humor you'd get from Monty Python, but this really personifies it in that kind of dark British wit. And the you were talking about him and the stuff that he went through at the Catholic monastery, and I just in my head I just keep on seeing an eye for an eye or an ass for an ass, and like the kids yelling ass for ass, and the only thing I could think of when I saw that was like ass to ass
From
from
Requiem for a
Dream.
Dream. Yeah, exactly.
And,
Ass to ass. That old
and
man, dude.
oh god, that movie fucks me to my core. I can only watch it once or twice a year, and it usually like shakes the
I can't
demons, the
even
monkeys.
watch it that much, man. I've seen it twice, and that's it. It's a
I,
good movie. It's a beautiful film, but I can't watch it again. I don't think in my lifetime.
yeah, no, it's tough. It's tough. I gotta watch it to get myself straight. But like, it's man, I really enjoyed this from start to finish. Like you said, it's got the Doulahan, it's got the Banshees, and Baylor, and like what I thought. I really enjoyed all the action and everything, but the end of it when it's kind of the sins of the father type deal, where it's Finola and Cillian or Killian breaking away from the cycle of anger and of hatred that was taught to them by their parents. And I think that's a really, really important thing, because you have a lot of people who they really don't ever break out of that shell of what they were taught by their parents. And not that what your parents teach you is bad, but I think that once people get out into the world, they can kind of make their own decisions. I think that was a lot of what this book had in store. Was after we find out, oh dude, the scene where her father's cutting the fucking spirals into her. If you're gonna act like fucking Baylor, I'm gonna make you look like her. Like, dude, that was fucking tough. Like, and the way that he treated his daughters, the abuse that he inflicted upon them. I really think once he was dead, like it's real weird. Like, I was cheering for him to die when all three of the sisters were in the room, and no, man, I love this from start to finish. It was very similar to me in the same tone that we talked about with Headlopper, where it's action. The issue, this was probably the quickest read of the week. It's 5 issues long, and I read it in about an hour and a half. And man, it was just one of those things. Like, once I started issue 1, like I kept on putting off having to go and take a piss because I wanted to finish like reading it. It was so fucking good from start to finish. Sean Lewis and most of the things that he does has just super interested me, and this was also no exception, because man, the character of Finola was great. The character of Killian was even fucking better, and like I really enjoyed when he was telling her, if I were to like people, we would have crazy fucking kids.
Super
And
demented children. Yeah, if I was attracted to human beings, yeah, we would have super demented children together. I was just like, that's love right there. Those kids are so cute.
And even from the jump, when they're playing in the bog and she's like, oh, I brought a head, and he's like, oh, this head has lots of bounce. Like, the little bits of dark humor like that really drew me in. And like I said, I've read a couple of Sean Lewis's work, and all praise to him, because anything that I've read by him has been not only entertaining but just really fucking great. Like, Thumbs made me cry. I don't know, that was Sean Lewis and Hayden Sherman on Thumbs, and like Thumbs, like, and I say that doesn't mean much because I cried everything because I'm a emotional piece of shit, but I didn't cry any during Clan Killers because I was too busy laughing and fucking going wow at all the action. I mean, it is action packed, like you said. She jumps in on the Doulahan and like does some straight fucking Boston Southie type shit on the motherfucker, and it was just from start to finish.
Did you just admit to being played by Meg Ryan? I think you did. From now on, the part of Goose shall be played by Meg Ryan, because he cries at everything, and he's very sentimental. That would be awesome.
We get Meg Ryan in here with totally fuck myself.
Yeah, we get Meg Ryan in here with the beard. That'd be hot. That's what I'm talking about. But yeah, dude, Sean Lewis is fire. This is actually my personal favorite book of his, which is weird. This got brought about by Fred. Fred got me to read this, who it's hilarious because Fred hates fantasy. Like, the first thing that Fred talked to when I met him was, how do you feel about them damn hobbits? And I'm like, well, I like them. And Fred hates the Lord of the Rings so bad. He does not like fantasy at all. But one thing he is proud of is his Irish heritage, man. The guy thinks he's Everlast or something. He's always talking about how Irish and Italian he is. So when he's like, let's read Clan Killers, I'm like, hell yeah, all right, cool. And then I read it, and it blew me away because I really liked Coyotes before this. I would say that was my favorite Sean Lewis book before this one. But damn, this really took it over because he really nailed the mythology. Plus, this book is a lot more fun than a lot of his other writing. He seems to try to be edgy with a lot of his other stuff, but with this, he kind of just tried to have a good time, and I appreciate that. Joey, how do you feel about the Clan Killers?
Yeah, it was a solid read. Like everything you said, like the part where the kid takes his revenge on the priest, you know, where he has him bent over with the sword. That was pretty funny. But it's a brutal book, man. Like you said, there's some humor sprinkled in, which is incredibly dark, but it's brutal. There's a lot of killing, man. Even the little kids are like kill without hesitation or remorse. Like, man, it's I got like I mentioned in the chats, I got a vibe like maybe these kids were in like an asylum. I don't know if is there going to be another arc to this, or is it just one and done?
I'm pretty sure it's one and done.
One and done. Okay.
Aftershock likes to put a number 1 on the side in case the creators want to come back and return to it. But I think Sean Lewis just meant this to be a graphic novel, basically.
Graphic novel, yeah. And I like in the foreword where he brings up what kind of inspired him for this story of just going through books at his uncle's house on the bookshelf, and how his uncle was super into the Irish folklore, Scottish folklore, and all that, and how he like believed in all of it, and it kind of inspired him as a kid to kind of like get caught up in that. And that's why when he said that, and the two main characters are kids, I thought this was like a delusion or a fantasy of the kids that they built around themselves, because like you say, the one kid is abused by a priest, and the other girl has like a very poor relationship. Her father is super violent and abusive. So I thought this story was almost, I don't know why I got vibes like it was these two kids and they set up this world around them to try to hide like all the bad, and
kind of like Sucker Punch.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I got from this. I got vibes like that, like these, because the two protagonists are kids, and they're in this incredibly violent world. So that's why I got those kind of vibes from it.
I just want to take a pause real quick. My dad said, why can't we have a really good Sasquatch movie? And Dad, if you have not seen the Sam Elliott, the man who killed Hitler, and also Bigfoot, stop watching this shit right now. Get on Hulu and go watch that shit, bro. You want to talk about a good Sasquatch movie? That's fucking it. The man who killed Hitler and also Bigfoot. And if you fellas haven't seen it, it's Sam fucking Elliott killing Hitler and then killing Bigfoot.
I have it. I also have a recommendation for Mr. Goose's dad, sir. There is a movie called Abominable, and it's basically Rear Window by Hitchcock, but instead of a killer, like the crippled guy is watching this Sasquatch kill these girls in this cabin next to him. It is so great. It is. I don't know if you can say it's a good movie, but it's definitely an entertaining movie about a squatch, man. So yeah.
One of my dad's favorite movies, in fact, it may be his favorite movie, is fucking Death Race 2000 by Roger Corman. So if you want to talk B movies, my dad is your fucking guy. Like that and Chopping Mall or Black Christmas. Like he can talk about those all fucking day. We're gonna have to get him on the show one day.
But going back to Joe's kind of Sucker Punch idea, that would be neat and everything, but I don't know, I just like to take it as a straight up fantasy epic with just two kids that were from bad places.
Yeah.
Because
but I don't know why it just kept creeping into my head as I was reading it, like this isn't going to be an actual world, it's going to be them setting up this fantasy world. Because I don't know, if I wouldn't have read the foreword by Sean Lewis, it probably would have never popped into my head of him saying, like, picking these books up and looking through them and learning about that and how it stimulates the imagination and everything. And if I hadn't read that forward, I probably would have never thought of that as I was reading it. But you know,
well, see, you took it in that direction as they were trying to like escape. But the way that I looked at it was in the age that it was in. We're talking about like people dying at childbirth and people backstabbing each other just to move up in the social hierarchy. And so like the brutality of it, I didn't see as escapism. I saw more as reality. Where if you were in that time and like the king of your fucking like little realm or whatever you're living in got upset with you, like he would just fucking pop off. And you hear about mad kings all the time. I mean, I mean, look to British history when you've got kings who, through years of fucking incest have just gone fucking batshit and berserk and wind up in the Tower of London. So I think it really mimicked the brutality of that type of age when we're looking at Irish mythology, because the Irish have been through some shit, bro.
Yeah, but that's exactly what I mean. Like, because it would make sense for them to live in this world, not in, if they had to live through that now, it wouldn't make, like, it wouldn't make sense. But back then, that brutality was prevalent and present on a daily basis, in which why it would make more sense for them to be in this world, and why I thought maybe that's why they created this world around them, because it just makes their world make more sense in that context. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's like, and that's what I'm saying. I was listening when you said that, like that totally makes sense. But like I said, when I was reading it, I was just seeing like the brutality of pre-modern people. I say pre-modern, I guess I'd be pretty modern if we're the lifespan of humans. But like, I just looked at it as like death is one of those things that just like comes about in that time. And so like when they're kicking the head around, like in the issue 1 when they're playing down in the bog before they meet the banshees. And also another thing, when I think it's, what is it, issue 2 or issue 3, when they fight the Daergs, the fucking vampires, that, oh dude, that was so fucking kick ass. But you really see, like, you never see Finola have any weak spots except for towards the end when she's dealing with her family. But when she's fighting those vampires in the fucking bog, oh my god, I was just oh man, her and Cillian, Killiam, however we're pronouncing it, like that, those two characters just complement each other so well. And the action in this really just, the action, the dry wit, everything about it. Sean Lewis, we are not worthy, bro. Like, some Wayne's World type shit. Everything I read by him is fantastic, and I'm really glad I read this week. It was not disappointing at all.
Yeah. I really liked that it opened up on them on the field of battle, and she's kind of just torturing these people that are dying there. She's like cutting their faces and stuff, and Killian's like, man, I said I was gonna help you, but like you're just being a bitch right now. And I'm like, that their friendship was funny, but then yeah, they take that head and then they're playing soccer with it, and it's got good bounce to it, and then you end up finding out that it's a tribute for the banshees and stuff, and everything kind of just fits together. It's like you said, it's a really quick read, but at the same time, like, it's detailed. It doesn't seem like they leave anything out either, which I think is great.
And back to Cillian's character, when he's talking with the sisters and he finds out that she's got Baylor in her, and they're like, nothing but a strong crack to the head or an exorcism or whatever would draw her out, and he's got that rock and he's just like tossing it in his hand, and I knew it as soon as I saw him toss that rock up. I was like, oh dude, a strong knock to the head, he is about to fucking Nolan Ryan this bitch, and I'm so fucking for it. And then when you realize like that was kind of the twist in the story, when her rage and her anger had driven her to become the thing that she fucking hated, which was exactly like her father, which goes back to what I was saying about, the sins of the father, going, making a different path than what your parents had. Like, that really kind of struck true, where like Cillian, he's such a good character. And I love this book, man. I'm glad we read it this week.
Yeah, man, I'm happy you enjoyed it, dude. So you wanna get stuck in some punching of the gods there, Goosey?
Oh, dude, if we're talking about some deity fighting motherfuckers, I am so stoked. As soon as we talked about fantasy, like, this was one of the books that I threw out. I've read this multiple times now, and my last read through was yesterday, and it's still just as potent as it was the first time. I don't know if Lane Lloyd is watching, and it's fine if he's not. We love you, bro. And like, Johnny put me onto you, and I got onto this Kickstarter, and I got the physical copy, which is one of my favorite things in the world. This is God Puncher by Lane Lloyd. I want to say he does all the work for this. Yeah, he does, because he's fucking incredible. We're talking letters, art, colors, writing, all of it. But this is the story of the God Puncher. And his name is Tim Finley. And at one point in time, he had his arms ripped off by some gods because they're dicks, as always. And he now has magical arms that help him do his deity punching duties. And their names are Lev and Rev, which I'm assuming Lev is his left arm and Rev is his right arm. But every time I assume things like that, I always think of Black and Tan from Psych, where they go to the modeling thing and they're like, we're Black and Tan. And they're like, oh, good, you're here, Mr. Tan. And he goes, I'm Black. He's Tan. Stop being racist. I kept on thinking that the entire
from Psych, straight up.
Yeah, no, which, Johnny, you're one of the few people that love that show as much as I do. And so I'm glad I got to bring that up. But no, he's got his two deity or God punching hands, Lev and Rev. And it is a journey that is, we've talked about nonstop action in the first two books that we talked about, but this is really the personification of that. It starts off kind of giving you a little bit into the story, but then we instantly jump into fighting dragons, and the dragons talking about fucking, oh, you should be, groveling in fear. And his arms are like, dude, we fight fucking gods on a daily basis. Like, you're not fucking dealing with me. But this is Tim Finley going up against the god of time. And it ends on I'm waiting for more. We got the Padlock King coming soon, hopefully. But this is just from start to finish one of my favorite books. I believe, Johnny, if I'm not mistaken, this started off as a webcomic, right?
Not really. I think he was selling it as digital only at the time. I got introduced to Lane by Jake West. He was like, because I wanted to get into checking out, the crowdfunded stuff, and for some reason at that point, both Jordan Thomas from Frank at Home on the Farm and Lane were both looking for people to read and review their comics, and Jake's like, hey, my buddy Johnny wants to read it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. I had no idea what I was getting into. But as soon as I saw like Lane's character designs, especially his monsters, like that one guy who has like the two like bowls for a head with the skulls floating in them. Man, I just love all of the characters so much. It's just so moving, so kinetic. And it's just fun. It's another one of those books that, like, yeah, there are some beats to it that there are some jokes that will go over kids' heads, but you could let kids read this. But there are a few kind of dirty jokes in it because Lane is a funny little fella, and he's a certain picadillo for burly guys with beards. He seems to really like that archetype, as he's stated on Twitter several times. God bless him. And yeah, this book's just a celebration of that. But on top of that, man, like, I could see this as a Cartoon Network show. It really should be. Somebody should put a little motion to this, and I could see it like taking over where Powerpuff Girls or Dexter used to reign supreme. You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
it totally could fit that slot.
I want that. However, by the way, did y'all know that Polka Dot Man from Suicide Squad is the motherfucker that was writing Count Crowley?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Joe said that on the show.
Yeah,
I said it on the show.
I guess that just went right over my head. However, when we're talking about the art of this, like, this reminded me of a lot. Johnny, I may say his name wrong, so correct me. But Lalos from Serbia, our boy Vasilos.
Vasile Lalos. He's from Greece. He's not from fucking.
Well, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to call him Eastern European trash. He's from Greece, and you showed me there was a book by him. The one with the tall man with the hat.
Saturn Head.
I got very big Saturn Head vibes from this book, and I love Lane's art so much. You were talking about the monster with the bowls and the two heads, but the one that sticks out to me is the guy with the hand for a fucking head, but he's also this guy right here, he's got a hand for a head, and I think it's in the same, he's also got a stomach with teeth. And like, Lane's monsters are so creative and so beautiful, and everything about this book from start to finish, man. Like, I'm gonna reread it again for probably about the fifth or sixth time after we finish the show, because it is one of those books that is so fun. and so great. I don't even think I really got
And
into it.
you can always just jump right back into it too. I mean, like it is just a blast. It's definitely one you won't mind revisiting because you'll see new things in it each time you check it out too.
Yes.
That's another clever thing about his artwork is like you'll look in the background, you'll be like, oh, I didn't see that guy, and he looks like the character in the background is almost as cool as the bosses we've been talking about. How cool
Well,
they look. Like
and
even
big,
his little background guys are just so fucking neat looking.
yes. And big shout outs to him. He really got some big work going recently with that Transformers covers. The Transformer cover that he did, and I really want a copy of that. Man, he's another one in the same vein. Like I said, we've been talking about illustrators or cartoonists, and like he really like fits the mold for it. He's got his own style. He's got the way that he does his stories, and like I would put him in the same category that Andrew Mclean is in from Headlopper.
Oh,
It
he's
is
definitely cartoonist, man. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Yo, Joe, you really like God Puncher this week. I remember you saying it's one
Yeah,
of your favorites. You want to
this
chime in a little bit?
this is my favorite book of the week that we've read for the show. This book was I loved it from start to finish. His art, you can see it progress from issue to issue. As you get to the final, you see he finds his footing. It's a little more polished from panel to panel. It flows like you see the progression from issue to issue, just how he grows into this book, and it was amazing. Like you said, the character designs are great. One concept that I loved was the detective, the ghost detective.
Yeah.
oh
How
God,
his
yeah.
body, how his body becomes a zombie. So there's like two entities of him. I thought that was great. When I read that, I was like, oh my God, that is so good. I love that. He should do just a story of that character, because it would I think it would be a great story. You know, like the duality of the two, and
He talked
I
about the
love that.
brain.
When I read that, yeah, the ghost detective and his
He talked
body.
about the brains and the brawn with the two,
Yeah.
and I got some big like of Mice and Men, Lenny and what's his name, where they played so well off each other. Keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah. That was like one of my favorite parts, like the characters that he developed. But I mean, like from the antagonist to just, I love these kind of weird, twisted, kind of offbeat books where they just have fun with creating something off the wall and so different. And the story wasn't anything super original. Like it's, just a journey of him getting his revenge, and that was pretty basic, but the way he approached it and the world he created was so original and so fun that it just made this story just hum. Like after reading each issue, you just want to grab the next one and read it. And like, I don't know what he's working on next, but man, if it's anything remotely close to this, it'll be awesome.
Well,
Really,
back to on
really good
Kickstarter,
stuff.
you'll get it when I get it, man. That's for sure. What's it, Val? The
Salvatore.
Salvatore, yeah. But I agree with you, man. Like you get to see his journey as an artist progress, but also another thing that was really neat for me is watching a guy's dream get fulfilled, knowing Lane. Because when I first met him when issue 1 was coming out, he was a guy that was begging scrubs like me to read and post a little bit of promotion for his book. Now the guy is like funding his Kickstarters in under an hour, and it's just beautiful to see because he really deserves it. He is a sweet fellow, and one of the best things I loved about God Puncher is he always had a new issue out for my birthday in September. So I'm kind of hoping the Salvatore thing will drop in September, because even the trade for God Puncher, I ended up getting my trade for it like I think the day or either the day before or the day before my birthday. So yeah, it was really, really cool. I always
Now
kind of
the
associate
only
God Puncher with that.
the only issue that I have at all with my physical copy is, and I'm pretty sure this goes down to the printers, but some of the words on the right side of the pages were a little bit cut off, which is not like a slight against Lane or anything, but there were some words that got almost cut off in that, But what I would really like to see is we talked about it last week with some books. These kind of the library editions where they're a little bit bigger. I would love to see God Puncher in a library edition, and not just because. Oh, go ahead.
It would definitely do it justice because one of the only critiques I have negative about it is the changing of the fucking lettering all the time from bubble. It changes too often, the size, and it gets really small at some points. And I was like, God damn! Like after a while, it bothered me a little bit on some parts of the story. Like if there's more consistency, if there's more consistency in that, then that's the only thing. But the rest, like, I mean, it's such a charming book. Like, it's impossible not to love this book.
I have to agree with you guys. I think it's cute in the little digest form. I think it fits it in a certain aesthetic, but at the same time, I want an oversized version because it really needs to be looked at in that context because his art is that good that it deserves to be oversized.
It's the same thing with, like, I think I talked about it when I talked about last week that I'd like to see it in a bigger form. There's some things like the connecting it to movies, there's some things that you can just watch at home, but there's some things that deserve to be seen in a theater. And this is one of those books that I think really deserves to be oversized and stuck on the mantle next to the rest of my books because, like you said, you see something new each time, and it deserves to be in a larger format. Like Lane's work is so good that I want to see it bigger and bigger and bigger each time. And so, like, it's a fucking perfect book, man. Like, when we talked about doing fantasy and, like, we were trying to, we were ruminating ideas and stuff, like, I turned around and my eyes locked on God Puncher and I was like, please tell me God Puncher is fantasy. And, like, we all agreed on it. And, like, oh, man, I'm so glad we get to talk about it. I've been reading it now. Like you said, it dropped in September when we got the trade. So that's been almost a full year now. We're 10 months in, and I think I've read the trade, 5-6 fucking times now, man. It's such a fun ride from start to finish. It is fun, like you said, kind of with the
This guy, Aaron, he has been kind of new to the channel, but he has been very comment heavy. So I'm going to go ahead and go with this. I was going to wait till you were done saying what you were saying until we all answered him, but.
Yes. Let me just finish up on that. This has been a fun ride. I want to see it in a larger format. Lane is great in all forms. Johnny, you go first because I've got my answer boiled up, ready to go.
It's going to be a hard pick. I'd have to say it's somewhere between part 3 and part 4. I love part 4 just because of Crispin Glover's dancing, but part 3 is just, it's great. I love Friday the 13th part 3. That's probably my favorite, either it or 4 or Jason X.
Joey?
So maybe a tie between those 3.
I'm not the biggest Friday the 13th fan, but I enjoyed probably 3 the most.
Oh, all of you are wrong. The best goddamn Friday the 13th is Jason Takes Manhattan, and only because of the scene where he's fighting the boxer on the fucking roof, and he's just like giving him all he's got, and he's fucking getting him, and then he goes, "Give me your best shot, motherfucker," and Jason uppercuts this motherfucker's head off, clean fucking off, like there's no head left. And you know what, man? Kudos to fucking Kane Hodder for that shit because he uppercutted a man's head off. And I know what you're saying. Oh, that's just movie magic. Nah, that dude died that day when Kane Hodder hit him with the fucking uppercut from hell. Or Jason X, which my dad checked me out of school to go and watch because that was a sick ass fucking film too. But yeah, it's definitely Jason Takes Manhattan for me.
But Joey, you got any last words you got about God Puncher, bro?
Yeah, there was one section where they go into his backstory and it was full color. And I hope his next book is full color because, man, it was great. Like, most of it is black and white with touches of color, like with just to specific characters, which was a nice touch. It's beautiful. I loved it. But when they go into his little backstory, yeah, and it's full color, it is beautiful. Like, his choice of colors were great, and I'd love to see him do more full color because I love his color palette, what he chooses for his color palettes and stuff. It's wonderful.
No, I would agree with Joe as well. I think that the prologue where it goes into him and it shows like that full color range, it kind of pulled me out, and I'd like to see a full color Wait, how to see that we can agree on both good movies in the franchise. But no, those full color scenes were really surprising to me because it kind of draws you out where normally you get a page like this, where, like you said, it's kind of you get black and white with some hints of color, but you can definitely tell when he goes into full color on the prologue where you've got like backgrounds. I'll show it in video. You got backgrounds and you've got skies drawn in, and I really liked his colors and the way that he presented it. Because then you go right back into the black and white with hints of colors. And so I'd really love to see a fully colored version of God Puncher, dude. It's such a good fucking book. And shout out to fucking Lane, man. Like, he goddamn killed it. I'm ready for Salvatore.
Amen to that.
When is that dropping?
Hopefully September, Johnny.
Yeah, hopefully September. He has. I haven't seen an update in a while, but he's been drawing it. So yeah, hopefully soon. I don't usually ride the guys. You know what I mean? I just wait for it to come out. And I know some people like, oh, it's late or whatever. Like, I don't pay too much attention, just as long as they keep me informed. You know, because like I don't expect it when they say it's going to come out. Like even the ones that like have come out on time, I think of those as the rare cases of Kickstarter. I never like plan for it to actually come out when they say it's going to do.
Obviously, you didn't back Cosmic Detective.
No, because they're just going to put that around stores, man. That's fucking Jeff Lemire, Matt Kent, and what's his name? So yeah, like
Marco Ruben.
Ruben, yeah. I'm still fucking waiting. But good news is I got the plot holes from Sean Murphy should be coming in a couple of weeks, and I'm stoked about that.
Hell yeah, fucking oversized is the way to go. But zipping right along, our penultimate book is one that I always try to get people to read. The problem this book has is it has the rotten luck of being put out at the exact same time as Seven to Eternity by Rick Remender, which, yeah, being another fantasy book in the same vein, didn't bode too well, but I think that this book might actually be better in some ways. This, of course, is The Realm, created, written, and drawn by Jeremy Hahn and Seth Impeck, with colors by Nick Filardi, lettering and design by Thomas Maurer, edited by Joel Enos, and covered by Jeremy Hahn and Nick Filardi. And like Joe pointed out, like we mostly know Jeremy Hahn as a writer now, but oh my god, dude, this guy's art is so incredible. Like I really wish that he would do some more art. But this book is probably one of my favorite forms of fantasy, and it's basically post-apocalyptic fantasy. It's basically like the old ways, the ancient creatures have retaken the earth after humankind have ruined it. And we join this guy who is called Nolan, who kind of leads people through the Badlands, through the dragons and the orcs and whatnot. He's got this badass protector chick that rolls with him named Rook, who wears like this cool like eagle armor. She is so badass. I am absolutely in love with Rook. I have no idea what she looks like, but like she is Dream Woman number 89 or something. I have so many, but she's definitely one of them. And this book just it almost has a Western flair to it. It kind of reminds me of movies like The Professionals, or one of those ones where the cowboy has to lead like the group of people through the Badlands. But this time it's orcs, and then there's this human sorcerer called Eldritch, who he's really trying to suck up to the demon lord, and he is just helping the orcs massacre these people. And there's this orc general called Redjaw, who's just brutal, and he's got this human chick with a bunny mask that rides with him, and they just slaughter fools. But basically Nolan, and he's taking this party of people to their destination, and he doesn't actually know what they're carrying. They're keeping secrets from him, but basically you end up learning that one of the guys is actually a sorcerer himself, and they also have something else in a bag that they don't want him to know about. And they're slowly moving across the land, and there's this really neat scene where they get chased through these factories by these goblins, and they meet this kid, Eli, who kind of helps them get through there, and like helps this Cthulhu monster basically fight these goblins away from them. They get away from that, and then they end up at this settlement. They find the weird kid. Then Nolan and what's the one girl's name who's on the party that he's kind of friends with. They meet this kid who's just out in the middle of nowhere in this like feudal medieval badland full of orcs and shit. And like he's playing with the soccer ball, and they're like, "Hey, what's up with you, kid? Like, are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Next thing you know, there's just a spear sticking out of this kid, and he drops, and they're like, "Oh my god!" And like then all of a sudden, this bright light happens, and the kid just gets up, and he's fine. And they're just like, "Okay, let's go back to camp then." And they're trying to explain this and make sense of it to themselves. Meanwhile, they go to one of their friends encampments. It's kind of halfway journey point, and they're kind of having a meal when Red Jaw and his clan attack, and they have like this crazy Cthulhu monster that attacks the gates, and they're just trying to wipe this place off of the map. But our heroes are stuck inside as well, and that's kind of where we leave this first arc off at this just incredible siege. It's almost like the Helm's Deep in Two Towers type thing, man. There's just all this going on. There's these 3 different type of fights going on at once with the characters. Rooks flying around, just fucking things up. It is so gangster. Joey, I know you really, really got into this one, man. How do you feel about Z Realm?
Yeah, it wasn't at all what I thought. I didn't realize it was going to be like a set in modern dystopian fantasy, which was a surprise and a pleasant surprise. I loved it. The art in this, like it just blew my mind. Like the details that he puts in it, like just the gloves when she reaches, all the little details on the fingers of the gloves. He puts so much detail into the art. I don't know how long it takes him to draw this book, but it is beautiful. Like he puts so much effort into the little details of everything. I loved it. And Rourke, like you said, her design makes me think of that old cartoon where they all have like the hawk helmets and they're in the spaceship. What is that called again? The white dudes? No, not Silverhawks. The other one. It's an older one.
Gotcha, man. The old Japanese one?
Yeah.
Yeah, Gotcha, man. Or G-Force or Battle of the Planets. It has like 3 different names, but
G-Force, yeah. Her design makes me think of that show so much. Like she has like that bird-like helmet. It looks like a hawk or an owl, or I don't know. And with the short kind of cape, almost looks like wings when she's running around. And her design was great. Like, and she's like the badass that, like, I love it when they're just fighting. He's like, go kill stuff.
Yeah, go kill stuff.
Go kill stuff. It's like, I love that's a great character, like a hard ass character who's like tries to show no emotion or caring for anyone. But I don't know how it's going to go in the next volumes. But I wouldn't be surprised if she starts to show her more emotional side. But yeah, the monster, like the orcs and goblin designs are great in this. I love how they have the diversity, like the small skinny one who's smarter and he's how do you call it, a scavenger or whatever, scrap, and the other guy's just a big dumb guy who just wants to kill and
thinks all the human stuff is trash, but the other guy's
just
like,
trash.
No, some of this is useful. Yeah, like look at all these buildings. Look at what we could have did with this, but they wanted to burn it all. Like, yeah, I love that scene.
Yeah, it's nice. They go into them a little bit and how humans stink and like why like they think it's just a nuisance. They don't want to have to chase after humans and kill them. And like I don't know. I like that they dove into that aspect, the other side a little bit, so you kind of see the mentality from both sides. And the main villain, the main antagonist, Eldrick, like the sorcerer, the evil sorcerer Satanist, he was pretty cool though. They give him like that old almost like an Alice Cooper type look, where he's bare chested with the leather pants with the eyeliner and everything, like the old like 70s metal rock star. Yeah, I like that. That's a nice little look. And how he always shows up right at the end when they're almost guaranteed a victory, and he shows up and be like, look how I helped you like secure victory. It's a pretty good. Like I love all the little nuances in it that are I really enjoyed it. It was good. All the characters are really cool. Like the kid that we're not sure what he is, but he seems to be immortal. Like you don't know what his deal is. He's traveling the world alone and just happens to run into these people. And you get a good vibe on Nolan, like you said. Or is his name Will? Is his first name Will? Is it Will
Yeah,
Nolan?
Will Nolan.
Yeah, because she's often like, "Hey, Will," and like you get a good vibe on him. Like he does what he has to survive, but deep down, he's good at heart, and he doesn't do it just for the money. He's for hire, but there's a lot more to him. And then he has that affliction. I don't know what it is. They don't go into it, but he has that arm that's infected, that affliction where I don't know if it's a demon that's taken him over, or it's orc blood or goblin blood, and he's in his, then at the end you kind of see where the dark veins start coming up from behind his jacket, where no one has really noticed it yet. But that's going to be another interesting aspect to the story as it moves along. There's a lot in this first volume, man, that they touch on a bunch of little things that I'm sure, like, what is this? Is it 5 volumes or 4 volumes?
There's 3 out right now.
15 issues.
3 out? Okay.
There's 3 trades, and he said that he's going to return to it soon. Jeremy said that to Matt a couple months ago, that like in the near future, Realm fans will be really happy. So like, I hope that means that he's going to be doing more. But I got to admit, like, yeah, I think that right away they kind of alluded to Nolan's not as hard as he acts like he is, because that opening scene where he helps that chick take over dude's kingdom.
Yeah,
because he's a rapist and whatnot. Like, he just totally, like, he set a plan with her to like just completely oust that guy, which was pretty gangster. And then he's like, "Oh, I don't know, you might be fine." And she's like, "Yeah, well, if you come back, you better pay me what you owe me." And he's like, "Okay, then never mind. You'll be perfect. You'll be you're made for this job." I love that.
And how nonchalant when he goes and sees his buddy that sets him up with the contracts, like, "Oh shit, like it went south," and he's like, "Oh, this one should be more safe," and they got a little network there, and how he does his due diligence too. That was a nice little touch. How he has Rourke go and follow them and try to find any like little secrets they may be keeping from him, so that he's as well prepared as possible, so he doesn't get blindsided by anything. Like, they go into a lot of little details in this book that really add to the story and help with the character development. It was fun.
Well, one thing we haven't touched on is the character Ben, who is kind of the other hero of the book that you'll see that kind of comes up more in the second arc. You basically kind of just see him out butchering orcs, kind of being a barbarian man.
Oh, yes.
But Ben is pretty badass. He's the dude with the beard, like
the one who looks like Goose.
Pretty much, yeah. Like Goose if he wasn't played by Meg Ryan. Like Goose if he was played by Ronda Rousey or something. I don't know.
It's me. I'm Ronda Rousey.
No, you're Meg Ryan. Go ahead, Meg. How did you feel about the book?
Yeah, that character is basically your typical badass character, right? That just fucking he's
got an agenda.
Major ass.
Yeah, he's out there just to kill.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Besides God Puncher, which is a great book anyways, excluding it, this was my favorite fucking read of the week. I had not dived into the realm before this week, along with, it's usually like that. Johnny keeps on putting me onto these epic fucking books, and all praise be to him. Yeah, no, you've never steered me wrong at all. In fact, you sent me one of my favorite fucking books of all time. It's I can grab it right now. It's a Boom book, and you sent me this for my birthday, and it is the Die Hard Year Zero. Year One, which is one of my favorite books that I've ever read, and I appreciate you for that. But the realm was so goddamn good. We talk about the Rook and like her role in this and how great she is. However, it's Eli that helped him through the thing. But what's the kid who got shot with the fucking Zach?
Zach.
What is it? Zach?
Yeah, Zach. Zach was the other boy.
Yeah, Zach's comic book references and the fact that he is like into comics when he calls the Rook Batman.
Boba Fett too. Like, if it's okay with Boba Fett, I guess we could hang out.
Yeah, those references make me absolutely love him. But this was, it was kind of the same thing with Oh my god, it's kind of the same thing with fuck. Not what are the other books we read this week? Not not Headlopper, not
Clan Killers.
yeah, Clan Killers. It's kind of the same way with Clan Killers, where I was reading through it and like I kept on having things to do, but I kept on putting them off because I was so fucking entranced with the realm. And another thing, Jeremy Hahn and the other creator, the Me Like Bees band from 40 Ounce Meg Ryan, hell yeah, mom. The Me Like Bees band that does the soundtrack for the album. After I got done reading the first 6 issues, I read the first. We're talking about the first volume, which is 5 issues, but I read the first 6 issues, and I'm ready to read the next 9. It's so goddamn good. Oh my god! But I went and because like I saw the Me Like Bees thing and like the post of them, and then I went to look, and they're like an indie band from Missouri, and it was not the music that I thought would be associated with this, because I think Jeremy Hahn talked about how like everything he creates has a soundtrack to it, and honestly, for me, you could have gone with like super heavy, like sloth, fucking
Some doom metal. Some
doom
doom metal,
metal.
man. Straight up, man. Just straight up stoner doom metal. Like Electric Wizard or something like that would have played perfectly with this book.
I kept on thinking of that the whole time. And so, like, after I finished up what I was reading for the week, the first volume plus a little bit more, I finally went and checked out Me Like Bees. And, like, I'm listening to it and I was like, no, man, this isn't what we want. We want fucking Green Thumb, man. We want stoner and doom metal, because, like, it is this future post-apocalyptic fantasy. And the art, like you said, like I was really surprised to see Jeremy Hahn's art, because we talked about Red Mother a couple of episodes ago, and so I know Jeremy Hahn from his writing, but Jesus Christ, his art is insane. Oh my god, when the spear goes, dude, when the spear goes through Zach's chest, I literally like threw my tablet down. I was like, ah! Because I was like, you see him from the front and he's got the Freddy Krueger sweater. And then he's got the fucking, what is it, Dr. Kraken shirt on, and he's into comics. And like that little thing drew me in more than Will did, or any of the other characters. Like the Rook is cool and everything, but I love Zach. Everything that he brought to the story. And then they bring him, like you said, your Helm's Deep like connection with it. It's so right. I think it's kind of on the same par as the ending of Spread #1 when they're at the like outpost.
Definitely, yeah. Same type of cliffhanger, exactly.
And it oh my god! And then the doctor, who is, and I'm still left on the mysterious capsule that the doctor passed on to his assistant. But like when he gets that arrow through the chest, I was like, no, you should have stayed inside, you stupid fuck. Like it's the same way I feel when Jude Law steps out in Enemy at the Gates.
I was happy when that old bastard died. I'm like, you don't lie to the guy that's leading you around. You don't keep secrets from dudes like Nolan and Rook. And I don't know, he's kind of a jerk anyway, so I was not sad when that dude got shot with an arrow.
I wasn't sad, but when I read it again, I'll feel the same way. You've seen Enemy at the Gates with Jude Law and oh god, not Ed McMahon.
Rachel Weisz, Ed Harris, yeah. About the Russian snipers. Yeah, it's a good movie.
Look, when he steps out, dude, no matter how many times I watch that movie, when Jude Law steps out at the end and Ed Harris fucking gets him, like every time he goes to step out, I go, no, stop. And it's the same way
I laugh. You know why? Because no man likes Jude Law, bruv.
That's not true, dude. You ever seen Sky Captain the World Tomorrow? Fuck you, Johnny. Not the point. The point is, I felt bad, and like I've said on the show before, any comic that elicits feelings from me holds a special place in my heart, because I can read. I read a fuck ton of comics, man. I read a fuck ton of books, and like a lot of them just kind of like pass me by. Like I could hold 5 or 6 books up that I couldn't tell you too much about, but books that make me feel for characters, like this one did. And that is another reason why, like I said, with God Puncher excluded, because that's a book on a whole nother level. This was my favorite read of the week. I had not read The Realm before, and man, I'm telling you, every
now you know why me and Fulci always talking it up, man. Because
Yeah,
like
no,
we try, I try to put the word out. I try to tweet about these things. Nobody pays attention, and I gotta beat you guys over the head with this shit sometimes. But like, I'm glad that once you guys do get into them, man, you do see the light, because like there are just so many good books like this out there that you still haven't found.
Well, Joe was talking about how he did not expect it to be like set in our times, and I was kind of the same way. And there was when we talked about fantasy, like this one kind of sets itself apart from the rest of the books that we read, and like it's super fucking good because it's something different than the rest of the stuff that we read this week, where kind of everything else fit into that classic fantasy type stereotype, where this one kind of sets itself apart by being Mad Max ex Lord of the Rings. You know what I'm saying? Like it
With
set
some
itself,
Western thrown in on top too. There's a little bit of Western
yeah.
in there.
Oh yeah. Well, you mentioned Usagi Jimbo earlier, and like this one draws a lot of parallels, and I say to Lone Wolf and Cub, but Lone Wolf and Cub kind of draws parallels from Western stuff as well. But this was like a fistful of dollars crossover with Lord of the Rings, crossover with Mad Max, and it was really like it's special, man. This is something that I haven't really ran across for, where like we can talk about fantasy and the realms and stuff. Well, the realm and the stuff that goes along with it, but this kind of sets itself apart by being set in that post-apocalyptic like landscape, and we have really good characters. They're all fleshed out really well, and it keeps you fucking guessing. And like at the end battle, like you said, at Helm's Deep, when the doctor kind of gets shot with the arrow, and then you've got the guy who sacrifices himself with the Molotov cocktails and stuff, and then at the end they're like, well, we lost 2 people, like we're not going to stop fucking now. We're just pushing fucking harder because we lost them. And like oh man, I'm 6 issues in. I've got 9 more to read. And like, oh dude, it's so fucking good. And I'm sad I haven't read it up until this point. I can't praise this book enough, man.
Well, if you got caught up, you just have to wait for the new issues like the rest of us. So I guess now's a good time to get started, because like you said, there might be new ones coming out soon.
What's the apprentice's name?
What is his name?
Anyway, his scene where after the doctor gets the arrow. Oh, I love that scene where he
fucks the monster up. Yeah, dude.
Oh yeah, he just lets loose. I love that scene. That was great. Like you almost don't notice him through the entire story. He plays a very small part, and then bam, they just hit you with that. It's great.
Well, they show you early on him trying to levitate the rocks, but he can't do it. So you thought that like maybe he was like weak at magic, but like I guess he's trying to like limit himself, because I guess he can only do big explosions type of thing.
But I don't know if it's his magic's rooted from from emotion, like, you know what I mean? Like he has to, from intense emotions, like then the magic comes through him more, or I don't know, because right away after that arrow happens, then he just lets loose, right? So I don't know.
David is,
yeah.
One of the things that got. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, he's like Harry Potter. Like they give him the glasses and everything, just like Harry Potter. You know, the only thing he was missing is the lightning bolt, but man, he let some lightning fly in that scene.
Well, when Johnny talked about Helm's Deep, I drew big connections between Legolas and the Rook when they put the ladder up after they're trying to find another way in with the battering ram. And fucking like the Rook is just there like shooting her fucking crossbow like a badass. Which, by the way, if you have a crossbow and you're a woman, you automatically win in my book. But like she's shooting them down off the fucking ladders and shit. And like I just imagine like her and Will talking about the kill count, like Gimli and fucking Legolas, and like it was fucking epic, dude. I loved it.
Definitely her and Ben as the story continues, because he's way more kill crazy than maybe even she is, man. Ben is
for sure
all about slaughter. But yeah,
I mean,
I think you'll enjoy what's coming next, Goosey and Joe.
I'm anxious for the reveal of her helmet coming off. Like, I want to see what's underneath there, man.
I'd rather not. I want her to keep the helmet on like Darth Vader.
No, I want to see it. I want to see.
Well,
Why
that's
does
the
she
thing.
wear that helmet?
I'm into this whole Revenge of the Nerds thing, sex scene. So keep the helmet on. You know what I'm saying?
Hashtag lose the helmet.
Yeah, I'm with
helmet.
Joe. Like, I want to know if she's brunette or not. I'm pretty sure she's brunette. She got the
Well,
attitude of a brunette.
If she's redheaded, I'm already in love. So is my son.
But cruising right along, we have our feature presentation, a book I paid a lot of money for to get an exclusive hardcover of, which I absolutely adore this book. Joey, take it away.
All right, we'll be talking about Juakomo. It's a magnetic press book. So basically, I have a little synopsis on the back. Every generation, the bravest son of the tribe is tasked to venture north to the Lost Kingdom to retrieve a portion of the treasure their ancestors had left behind. The trials are hard and many, but this time the chosen one is a woman named Kaya, forced to be accompanied by a male runner-up, an eager boy named Fox. The two set off on a journey filled with orcs, goblins, giants, and ghosts in a fantastic adventure that could rewrite their people's history. So basically, this book, you heard it there. These two characters that come from this tribe are tasked with going on an adventure to retrieve treasures from their ancestors that were forced to leave their lands. And they meet a bunch of... there's quite the cast of characters in this, good and bad, as they go along. The art is great. It's a very painterly style. I could find, it's great. And the back, they go into some back flashback scenes where they change the style of the art a little bit, which is great as well. It gives it a nice little feel and tone to it. The boy befriends a wolf, which is a great storyline as well, because the two characters get separated when they're trying to escape from a tower where they find this old wise man to help them find their way up north, because they lose part of the map, because they each have half a piece of the map where they try to trick each other, trying to steal the other half of the map. The boy does anyway, and they end up losing it, so they go for the wise man, and they get separated there. As the gate falls, the boy gets left behind, and she leaves with the ranger and the dwarf, who are promised to help her find the kingdom in the north. And as the story goes, they each have their own little adventure separate, and near the end he's a good tracker, so that he ends up finding her again, and they get reunited as they get close to the kingdom in the north, as they have goblins, orcs, and giants on their asses as they reach this lost kingdom. And and this is where I find this story gets really interesting, is where the history is told through ghosts. And I love that part of the story, where the ghost reveals their history to them that they probably weren't as familiar with. And that part of the story is great, the way they touch on that and the way they go through it. And the ending part of this book was really, really solid. I love the way that he tackled this story. And speaking of which, I didn't really say the name of the creator is Louis NCT. He does everything in this book. He does writing, coloring, lettering, everything. So yeah, a really talented person, man. Like, you should go pick this up. It's a beautiful book, beautiful hardcover. Yeah, I mean, it's a great read.
Bouncing right off the Clan Killers, this one kind of has the same feel, man. Kaya and Wolf are very similar to Finola and Killiam, in my opinion, because Kaya, she just is a force of nature, man. There is no fucks to be given, and there is no way you can convince her that she is lesser than Wolf or than Fox or anybody else. Like, she doesn't care that she's not a dude. There's nothing that can stop her, and she damn well proves it. She's a little badass the entire book, and until the end, which is very touching, very moving. The scene between her and Fox, but I really love the character Red Armor, which was really neat because the rest of this book is so very Norse. Like it's very Norse mythology based looking and stuff. Like
Mhm.
the tribe's very Viking, but then you meet Red Armor and he's a samurai. He carries a katana, and then when you see his traditional armor, it looks like samurai armor. So I thought
Mhm.
that was kind of really cool that they kind of mixed East and Eastern and European cultures together in this fantasy story, which I thought was kind of cute, kind of fun. Louis, man, he drew the hell out of this. I liked what I saw of his in Kiltopia, but this dwarfs any of that. Like, oh my god, dude! If this guy has any more like Euro exclusive books, I really hope somebody puts them out fast because I love Magnetic Press. They don't move fast enough though. Like, we need multiple people putting out this guy's work. If like say he's got a catalog like Maria Lovett does, and they're just going to slowly trickle it out. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. Just let me have it now because this book is practically a film, in my opinion. It moves very cinematic, and it just everything is just so clear and pictified. You see the thing. One of my favorite parts is, even though I wish that we did get a solo arc for Kaya's journey with Red Armor and the dwarf, I really loved Fox's journey north with the wolf and how silent it was, and just him hunting and him being the stalker predator that he is. Just, oh man, it just was so beautifully rendered, and a lot of the backgrounds with just the whites and the grayscales.
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness, this thing is just glorious to look at. It's like 300 pages, and it's like one of the greatest fantasy films you'll ever read. I can't put it in any other terms. Like, it
And I like
really
the way
is.
you say how it's quiet. Like his story where it's in the snow and it's quiet adds to that when you're by yourself walking in the snow and there's not much sound. So it like you said, they capture that whole tone perfectly on his solo story of the book. Yeah.
Right. And Wandering Goosecock, what do you think of the book?
Man, give me a second to get back set up. I just took the most miraculous piss. But okay, so we were talking about the one thing I wanted to note, and I didn't bring it up until now. We were talking about Headlopper earlier when the sword comes through the sea serpent's neck and everything. You want to talk about the best fucking sword play that I've ever seen in a comic is the way that Louis and CT does his sword play in this. It follows with the panels, and it is goddamn fucking gorgeous. Like, the notes that I have are talking about the sword play, whether it's in the start of the book, but you see it go from panel to panel. We talk about Fox is the guy with the wolf towards the end of the story. Kaya is not the fox. It's the guy, right?
Yeah, Kaya's the girl, Fox is the boy.
Yeah. Okay. When Fox goes to break free when he's caught captive in the story, and like when it goes from the sword, when he swings his knife towards the fucking horse and then cuts himself free, all of that is. This book is beautiful. I don't want it to be understated. From start to finish, this book is beautiful. Yeah. Thank you so much for putting that up, Joe. From so good. This book is one of the best things that we read this week. I know I said that it was, yeah. No, dude, it's gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. And
Yeah,
and
if
that's
we're
the
gonna
thing
talk
that,
about it on this show, like, the book's gonna be fire. Even if we say it's our least favorite, it's still a damn good book. Like, that's how this show rolls.
and no, that's the thing. Like, I don't have a least favorite for this week. All the books that we went over this week were just miraculous, and like it's everything about fucking Juakomo, which Joe and you were both prior to this. I jumped on the magnetic press. I jumped on the magnetic press boat for fucking Astro Pan. And I'm telling you, Wahcommo really blew me the fuck away. Honestly, it was so goddamn good, just from start to finish. And then I talked to y'all about it earlier in the chat. My favorite part is they're hunting down this treasure. Is what kind of the premise of the book is they've got the map, and each has a different section of the map, and they're doing all this and doing all that. But when they finally get to the treasure at the end of the story, the treasure is the fucking writings of the civilizations before them. And like when they get into the king's like inner circle and it's a library, I lost my fucking shit. I thought they were going to get in there and all the treasure was going to be pillaged by the people who had gone on the trek before them. But no, it really fell in line kind of with the same tones as the ending of Clan Killers, where they really like see that there's this picture. Joe, if you have the book on you, will you pull up the page at the end of the story where it has the fox chasing the wolf, kind of like a Ouroboros? It'll be at the last page. It was one of the things that I saw that really like sparked the story, where it's just not falling into the same traps that everybody else has fallen into. Yeah, that right there. The wolf and the fox chasing each other. That right there said more than some books that I've read that are 20 issues fucking long. The story was so well put together and everything was so well done.
Well, another neat thing about that piece is Kaya is actually wore the wolf mask, but since she was a girl, she wasn't actually like allowed to be the wolf. Like Fox was the fox, so that's why she has a name. But technically, she is a wolf too, which I thought was kind of neat. That when Fox was left alone, he found another wolf to travel with. That was kind of a neat thing that Louis did with that as well.
I didn't catch that, but now that you say it, it brings it forth because Kaya was wearing the wolf mask at the beginning of the book when they were going through the trials. And then you see her like beat Fox out, and then like her tits come out, and they're like, oh, she's a woman. And I'm like, hey, I'm all for tits. So, but no, like Joe, put that back up.
Yeah, they were all taboo.
Yeah, exactly. And like you get those opening scenes were very reminiscent of the same way I felt with the opening scenes of Lopper, where it was kind of silent, and then you see like the wolf jumping forward, you see the fox come up, you see the bear, and you see them all moving through this trial, and it was very well done. And everything from start to finish, I read it over the course of I read the first half of it, like the first 120 pages yesterday, and I read the rest of it today. And like everything from start to finish, man, this book was incredible. I know I said The Realm was my favorite thing that we read this week, and it was, but this is a masterpiece in its own right. It's very hard for me to compare European comics to American comics because the fucking European people, they do it way goddamn differently. And this book is really something special and cinematic as well. I think we've talked about that before, but this is something that I'd love to see. I'm sure y'all both have the magnetic press hardcovers that are a little bit oversized, like I have with Astor of Pan, and I'm hoping.
Oh yeah. Oh, and dude, it comes with this beautiful art print. It's where the guy kills the giant, and you just have there you go. That is the art print that comes with the hardcover
Now
from
you know why
Kickstarter.
they call me Red Armor.
The Red Armor.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, no. It was, and that's a splorsh, but I really just had a feeling in my heart that it said splooge, and that's a big shout out to Matt, because Matt only comes around for the splooge gifs. Yes.
Where they go for the flashbacks, they changed the art style. That is so cool. And it goes really painterly. Where's the painterly one? I'm trying to look for it. I think it's a little further. Where she's dreaming.
Oh, the dream where her dream was really neat. But I also really like the opening sequence where it kind of actually starts with Fox
where they're the
finding Red Armor again, but he's following the wolf, and then it cuts to the race where he is chasing Kaya, which
Yeah.
I thought was really clever. Like,
Yeah, it opens with that, and then they do where they transition right there.
Oh, those masks.
He's
so good.
running, then it transitions to him in the race in his costume, his fox costume.
and the race scene is done so good. Like, it was even better. And like, it's funny that I'm comparing a comic book to a film, but I actually liked the race scene in this better than the one that was in the beginning of Wonder Woman 84. Like, I thought that this was just so incredibly rendered, and even though it's on paper and it's single panels, like, it is just so it's just so visual and glorious the way it's depicted, and it's so kinetic the way the motion is rendered. It
is
unbelievable
what
what Louis did.
It's
the motion.
It's what the opening of Wonder Woman should have been. And like I said, the opening of Wonder Woman 84 was kick ass. Not so much the rest of the film, not the point. The point is, this book crafted on paper what should have been the opening from Wonder Woman 84. Like Louis and CT did it so well. It's so beautiful. But going back to him, to Fox and the Wolf, when they have their scenes and like he's coming down the mountain and like he's throwing scraps to the wolf, and then you find out the wolf was raised by the fucking Red Armor. And like oh man, that connection just made me love this book even more. And like I was saying earlier, when they finally get to the end, and you've got the Fox had the necklace and the key that would drive away the specters, but the specters were literally just a ghost of the past. And like I really thought that was so interesting of a way. You mentioned Helm's Deep in when we were talking about
Realm.
Realm, but I got the same notions that when Aragorn goes and sees like the valley where all the dead kings are and like the specters are there, like I got the same feelings from that in this, and that's so much more epic. And like the whole thing from start to finish, man, it is very cinematic, like a lot of these European books are. And God, dude, I fell in love with it. It was so good. And I'll tell you, like as I started reading it at first, I was a little bit put off by it. Not so much that I wasn't enjoying it, but I didn't really get it at first until it got to the end, man. By the end of the story, like I loved it so much. It's one of those, like I've talked about how Grant Morrison's books deserve to be read in full and not in single issues. And this is one that it goes in with that, where I would rather read it in full than single issues. Because if I'd have just read like the first 30 pages of it in a book, I probably would have been like, I put it off my pull list. But reading it in full, man, this is magical. It's incredible. I'd like to see it on a fucking big screen because it's so goddamn good. So good.
Oh man, that scene! Oh, the ending scene with Fox and Kaya, where they discuss what they've been through and about the possibility of going home. Like, oh, it's so unbelievably touching. It's so beautifully rendered, and the best thing about it is this book is really easy to get a hold of. Comic shops have it. You can get it on Amazon. Most of the online shops have it, and it is only $27 for a 300-page oversized hardcover that is just gloriously depicted, and it'll be probably one of the neatest fantasy epics you will ever take. And this is coming from a guy that's read like a lot of Japanese fantasy books. I've read a lot of American and a lot of European, and this stands above a lot of the European fantasy I've read, even by people like Morvan and Mobius, that I really look up to and love. I think that this book is very special, and it's very poignant for our time period. I think it's an important book that a lot of people should check out and have a little fun with, because it is just glorious in all ways, in my opinion.
And I love the decision to not make them a romantic kind of element to the two characters. They're more like family.
Friends. Yeah,
family, friends. Like I love that where they kept with the camaraderie instead of like going with the romantic or attachment of it. I think that added a lot to that last final scene where, they just neither one of them are sure what the future holds for them and where they're going to go from there after the big reveal.
I pulled this book out just because Johnny was talking about his love for comics that come from across the bay, but I still have this, and I still absolutely love Bonsai Girl. That this has nothing to do with fucking Wahcommo, but you're talking about your love for books, and that one always comes to my mind. But no, dude, Wahcommo from start to finish was absolutely fucking incredible. Y'all have talked about it before, and this was my first time reading it. Fucking just start to finish, just such a great book. And I love that the way the European books really do. We talked about with Lopper how those silent scenes mean almost as much as the scenes where they're narrating and dictating what's supposed to go on. And I think with Fox, when he's going through and like sliding down the mountain and he realizes that the orcs are coming with the giant leading the fucking force, and like he's trying to get ahead to like warn everybody. And I think Joe talked about it when we were talking in the pre-show, kind of what we felt about it. But there is one thing missing, and I'd like to see more of Kaya's adventures with the dwarf and Red Armor before they get to the King's Landing type deal. But other than that, man, like there's no other way to put it. This is almost a perfect fucking book. That it had me absolutely mesmerized by the art. And we've talked about it before with cartoonists or illustrators or however you want to put it. But like Louis NCT did everything involved with this book. And that dude's incredible. If you can make a story like this and do art like that and have it as cohesive as it is, just absolutely incredible. I loved it from start to finish.
Amen to that. Joey, you got any last words for Wahcommo before we get into your big giveaway?
Yep. His story, Fox's story, is a good 70, almost 100 pages. Just his little arc where he's by himself. Like, I could have easily gone for another 100 pages to have Kaya's story. Like that when she gets separated from him. Like, I could have easily read 100 more pages of this book. That's how good it was. And it's so beautiful. It's a treat. It's a visual treat to go through this book.
Well, because when Fox catches back up with them, it's not just Red Dwarf. He's also teamed up with like the guy that had Fox and captured
in prison.
The guy that was in charge of like the city police. Oh man, we didn't even talk about how amazing the breaking into the castle and the escape from the city was. You want to talk about action-packed set pieces, man? The escape from the city is just so exciting.
That horse scene is brutal.
Dude, when that gate crashes down,
they're just jumping. They're being followed and they're just jumping off the back of the horses, Fox and Kaya, and they're just taking the fools out. And oh man, it is just so glorious. Like Joe said, but then you get this whole part where
when the gate crashed down, dude, I fucking lost it. I was so upset.
There's so many great scenes. So many great scenes. Like really well rendered, really well. Yeah. The paneling, the pacing, it's great. Yeah.
It's one of those things that I kind of expect from these European type graphic novels is them being cinematic. Because like I said, y'all were on to Wahcommo before me. Y'all put me on to Aster of Pan. And like Aster of Pan was one of those books that is kind of in the same realm as being cinematic. I will say Wahcommo, I hate to compare books like that, but Wahcommo is better in the sense that, like I said, that when the gate crashes down on Fox's fucking horse and he's just leave him, he's already dead. And she's like, no, he's not. And then he has that escape scene where the guy tells him, I hope your blade is sharp because I'm not going to nick mine on your fucking spine. And then goes to him and he pulls the rope that's holding him in captivity and fucking just balls the guy, and then takes his knife and just cuts himself free and fucking gets on with it. And then like the horse goes over a cliff and he's hiding in the rocks like fucking Frodo on the path. The whole thing was just, oh my god! So
I'd have to say my favorite scene with Fox is with the guards when they're trying to get into the wise man's room, and like Red Armor's ready to just kill those guys, and Fox is like, no, let me do it, and like he just makes these little noises like a ninja and has them chasing him, and then he catches back up to him a couple panels later, and he's like, hey, what's going on? And he's like, well, where are the guards? Oh, they're still chasing me in the kitchen. I was just like, dude, this kid's awesome, man. That's hilarious.
Yeah. But he didn't want to hurt people. Is the thing. Like you see that when he talks to Kaya at the end, he's like, I've done horrible things. Yeah. But you see in the scenes like that leading up to him doing the things that he did, when he's even talking about like killing the goblins or the orcs or whatever they are, and like he felt bad for it. And then you see that scene, like you said, when they're jumping into the castle, and instead of like having Red Armor kill those guys, like he leads them off on a chase, and like you see that he values the sanctity of human life. And so it makes those scenes at the end where he's talking to Kaya and tells her the things I've done are irreparable, basically. And like it just hits home a little bit harder, knowing that every life he took, like he didn't take in vain, I guess is the right way to say it. Like he wasn't a killer like Red Armor. And you know, you see Red Armor when he talks about the giant skull sitting in the collector's thing. Like, what was the deal with that? Like, I'm thinking because you know they talk about it later on when you know the giants were living like humans in their own castles, and they used to sneak in and kill them like pieces of shit. But
in their sleep, yeah. Like you said, there was nothing heroic with the way they killed the giants.
Because giants were just people. They were just like us. Yeah. They just were huge. And he realized that after it was too late. And he hated that, like, he made that great, wonderful person a trophy. So him burning it down like that was his ultimate apology for it. The only thing that he could really do is free her from being a trophy at that point.
There's so many levels to this book that like it deserves several read-throughs to catch on to, and like I've read through it once and like I'm ready to go back and read through it again, because like you said, you know, you talk about how he burned down the collector's like trophy of the giant skull, but then you can compare that to the specters in the story that they tell when, you know, they had floor to ceiling tapestries. And if it's going to end in fire and blood, well, let's begin anew in fire and blood. And like man, I'm telling you, like there's levels to this shit, brother. And that this book was just from, like I said, from start to finish, just incredible. I was blown away by it. Like I am with most magnetic press books, man. It's something that deserves to be read multiple times by everybody. It was
incredible. Yeah, great characters. Another one of my favorites is when Red Armor first takes them to the city, and Fox and Kai are like, they cut stones just to put on the ground. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Oh my god, I thought that was great.
Well, the relationship between the dwarf and Red Armor, when he's like, well, you know, the goblins are just, and he's like, don't say another word, like fuck. And they're talking about the craftsmanship of the dwarfs, and how that even the dwarf, when they get into the king's chamber, he's like, well, this must have been elven magic, because this is way more complex than anything me and my homies could make. And it just, like I said, there's levels to it, man. And from start to finish, like it is very cinematic and absolutely beautiful. This was
it's a fantasy masterpiece. I personally put it up with stuff like Berserk and like Lord of the Rings, like that top tier, the stuff that just really nailed what it was going for. Like Juakomo is definitely on that level. Louis knocked us out of the ballpark, and I want to see more from him. If Image doesn't put this guy to work, they're idiots.
Well, you know.
Well, I like Image. I'm not going to talk any bad, even though they do keep giving Donny Cates work. But Joe, you have a giveaway, right?
Yep, we have a giveaway. It's going to be James Stokoe, my friends. His Orphan and the Five Beasts. I have issues 1 and 2. I have Marvel Heroes Reborn, issue 4, where he does the story with Rocket Raccoon, and he does an amazing job on that. He does a great Rocket Raccoon. And a Superman number 3, where he does one of the stories. I think the last story in that issue, he does a Superman story, which is pretty solid as well. So I'll be giving those books away. I don't know if anyone in the chats is interested. I think I'll do the same thing as last time. I'll just ask a quick question, and if anyone in the chats answers it, I'll just straight up give it to them right away. If not, we'll hit Twitter again and find some people want it. Yep.
I don't know how many people we have in the chat, but a buddy of ours did a giveaway recently on his podcast, and what he did was he did the giveaway, but he dropped answers for the giveaway in his podcast. And so, if y'all want to do something like that, I mean, I'm down to show my ass.
Which friend did this?
Which one?
Who are we ripping off? Because I want to know who we're ripping off.
I want to say it was the Wednesday pools, but let me go back and check out.
We'll just do it the way we did last week, man. Joe asked a question, and I don't want to rip anybody off. We'll just do it traditional.
Fair enough. Well, the question is, what do I have tattooed on my ass? So that's how we'll do it.
Tom Hanks.
No.
You're Ryan. Yeah, of course. We don't want to see. Put it away. You're going to get us banned. Put it away, dude. I'm not kidding.
Not my butthole.
I will fucking bounce you.
Stop my butthole.
It's on my hip.
And that's Tom Hanks. Joe, ask your question.
Yeah, I don't know what do you guys think I should ask? Okay, let's see. I'd like it to be related to him, for sure.
Stokoe?
So, yeah. Where is James? Nah, that's not good.
No. Did James Stokoe do the work with Tom Scioli on that G.I. Joe versus Transformers joint?
I don't think so. Maybe. I don't know. What I would go with is, what does the term Gronch mean in the James Stokoe classic Orcstain? Anybody who knows their Stokoe should know what a Gronch is. Hit us up in the chat. Yeah, what is a Gronch?
There you go. And if we'll hit it up on Twitter too. If someone comes up with it before the end, before we sign out in about 5-10 minutes, the book will be yours. If not, we'll post it on Twitter and let some people try to get the answer on Twitter.
Here's a hint for you. James Stokoe's name on Twitter is @HeGotGronch. So yeah. What do you think? What is a Gronch?
Yeah.
Not what's tattooed on Goose's ass.
Yeah, Tom Hanks.
Definitely not a Gronch.
If he does, he's definitely one of Matt's best friends. Oh wait, he is one of Matt's best friends. Never mind. It all makes sense now.
Yeah. So I'll
it's a Jesus
post...
and Mary chain tattoo.
Oh my God, Matt will quit the show if fucking if that's what it is.
I wish he was here right now. He'd be like, "Fuck you, Johnny. That's not funny."
I'm so ready for fucking goddamn Fulci to be back. Oh, next week's gonna be great.
Monday.
Yeah,
Monday.
We're gonna be doing a Buzz Bites on Monday.
What time?
Normal
usual
Buzz Bite time, yeah. Like 6 or 7 o'clock.
7 Central, 8 Eastern.
Might be having to jump on late. I don't think I'm going to be getting off until 9 p.m.
That's right.
You're going to be working evening shift, or because you're doing 12-hour shifts. Yeah, that's what you said.
So
okay.
I'm doing my training next week, starting on Monday. So I'll go from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. But after my first week or first 2 weeks, I'll be going to 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. But I'll be off most Fridays, and so that works for me.
Nice. All right, Sequential Geek. Let's see what he's got. Ashes. Come on, you want to win some James Stocco book, Sequential Geek? I know you know what a Gronch is. Put that shit in the chat, brother. Like, this guy's one of my old-time fans, dude. It's good to have him here, man. I love Sequential Geek. Really
Sequential
interesting
Geek.
fella.
Is he on
So yeah,
Twitter? I'll have to follow him.
if anyone wants to get a little taste of some Fulci, because they're going through withdrawal, man, Monday he's going to be on with us again. His triumphant return. So yeah, you guys are going to have to check that out if you want a little Fulci action.
I'll fucking go live in the plastics factory. Don't fuck with me, guys. I'm not gonna get fired to film, but I will.
Well, I'm going to post it on Twitter, and I'll let people vigorously check it out on Google.
That's right. If you want to get a hold of these James Stocco books, if you're listening to this after we went live, we got the Gronch. It's going to be at the Pink Buzz on Twitter to get a hold of these books to win this competition. But until next time,
I'll post it tomorrow night, Sunday night. No, tomorrow's Saturday. Sorry, Saturday night. I'll post the question on Twitter.
Like, until next time, like always, this is Pink Buzz, a product of graphic vandalism. So that means don't stop reading, don't stop watching awesome music, or don't stop watching awesome movies, and don't stop supporting awesome music. God damn it, Goose, you got me stuck to where I'm gonna miss-say it every time now. But
fantasy.
but yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed our little trip into Fantasyland and enjoyed the books we covered. And we'll probably check out Juakomo or some of these other titles. But thank you very much, Sequential Geek. I always appreciate your candidness, and that means a lot. But yeah. Expect us Monday night with Fulci. We don't know what we'll be doing, but there will be a thumbnail up in a day or two once we talk about it, and you'll know what the episode will be about then. Check you later.
Have a great week of reading, guys.